Hello, we're here. We're live. I'm back. Welcome back. Looks like we have a few people in here. Hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be from. Let me as I'm getting ready for these types of streams, I'm always like tinkering and playing around with things. So I got all kinds of windows and such up, but oh, what a last few weeks it has been. So lots of stuff going on, lots of craziness in the AI space. I have a few topics, of course, that I want to talk to. We got some updates on the Microsoft side, some things to look into, consider, all that good stuff. But glad to have anybody here that is here. So, of course, as always, welcome to the Microsoft 365 Copilot Connection. I am Nick Harris. I'm a senior Copilot Cloud Solution Architect with Microsoft. And of course, hopefully the screen share, audio, everything is good. Let me know in the chat. I do see at least hopefully a few people are here. Let me know if everything sounds good to you. I've had some notes in the comments on our videos that some of the audio might be a little low. If you need me to kick it up a notch, right? Give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know if you need it to move up. So before we get into anything Copilot related, I always like to start off with something random, just like I did last stream. So, for those that may not know, I am an avid Pokemon card collector. I know it's all the rage these days with people collecting Pokemon cards, and you can't find the product anywhere. So, I do have a little bit of product. So, I opened up a nice little single pack. I got my little promo card here. Got a Pupitar promo card. I love my promo cards, right? My daughters and I collect. We give it as like a little, how should I say, they do good in school, things like that. I used to get an allowance when I was a kid. We give our kids Pokemon cards, and they love to open up some packs. So we have a Twilight Masquerade pack here, and I was like, let's rip. And like last video, I didn't get anything good, so let's see if we get something good this one, right? Let's open this bad boy up. Let's see. So I can't see the cards, so I'm gonna have to look through the camera. We got a Whirlipede. We got a Crawdon. Crawdon. There we go. I can't. It's hard to see. Farfetch'd. Everybody knows Farfetch'd. Torkoal. Torkoal is pretty well known. A Kieran. A little bit newer. Sunflora from Gen 2. I don't know what kind of energy card that is. Whatever. Another Kieran reverse holographic. We got a Snowrunt. And we got a regular holographic Sinistra. Yeah, nothing good. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Here we do something a little different. Okay. So I know all y'all aren't here for Pokemon cards, but I don't know. I like to do something fun a little bit every once in a while. I don't like to focus on technology all day long, even though, that's what we do at Microsoft. So, what's going on in the Microsoft world? Well, a few things to share. I'm not sure if anybody has seen this. This actually, not this one. This just came out yesterday? Yesterday? Today's the 10th. Actually, this one was posted today. But this was just noted yesterday, and I find this to be so intriguing. So it sounds to be, and I don't know, I'm not a part of like any of our sales teams or anything like that. I'm an engineer, I'm customer facing. I work with a lot of our enterprise customers. And it sounds to be that we might be introducing different large language models into the Microsoft 365 Copilot experiences. So it looks like Anthropic is something we're tapping Amazon for. And what they've indicated here, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook for some of the Copilot integrated LLM experiences that we would include, maybe Claude models, for example. I don't know for sure. I'm very intrigued by this. So let me give you my thoughts. I've been talking with a few of my peers about these changes, and I know right now we're talking about the in-app experiences. I'm not sure if that would make certain functionalities richer inside of apps like Word and PowerPoint, for example, but I'm very curious of where this leads. So let me know your thoughts on this, right? So here's mine. I could see Microsoft introducing like Claude and maybe different other LLMs, including OpenAI with GPT 4.0 is what we currently use as the LLMs of choice when you invoke certain skills in those app experiences, like drafting a document or modifying specific text. Right? It's almost like these days when you think of AI, AI has its own personality based on the trained data, right? GPT-4o seems to be very personable for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people that use it for more of like a companion, as an example, really like GPT-4o. GPT-5 now introduced. We've had a few weeks with it. Much more concise, straightforward, to the point. It's just so interesting thinking like an AI having a personality, right? So I consider that this could possibly lead to like a model picker experience inside of Microsoft 365 Copilot. I think that would be really intriguing, right? We currently today, you all have to consider, I'm assuming probably majority of my audience here is a technical audience, right? And we, as a part of that technical audience, if anybody's a business user, of course, love having you here, no matter what organization you specifically come from. But probably a lot of people are technical audience, right? And so we understand, a lot more that's going on within the space, and we might want the ability to pick and choose models. Hey, for this particular conversation that I want to have with Copilot, I want to use GPT-5, or I want to use 4o, or I want to use Claude as example. I could see possibly a model picker experience eventually coming out, and that's very intriguing because if you think about like ChatGPT has this. You can pick from OpenAI's models, at least prior to GPT-5 rolling out, and then a lot of that was removed, and then people revolted, and then they maybe added a little bit more back in, right? But I'm very intrigued to know if Microsoft is now including additional models from competitors within the Copilot ecosystem. Could it eventually be that we allow a model picker experience from a variety of different competing models, all centralized in Copilot? Think about that for a second, right? I've been talking with some of my peers, and that's nothing confirmed or anything like that, but I'm looking at the future, what may be to come, where Copilot centralizes a lot of that. Hey, Mark, I see your chat. I've noticed your chat in the live stream. Appreciate your messages. Glad to have you here as well. This news and the direct integration with Dynamics 365 Copilots is exciting news this week. And GitHub Copilot has a model picker in VS Code. Interesting. See, I've never tried GitHub Copilot as of yet. A really general note for everyone, the work that I specifically perform, I am a subject matter expert on specifically Microsoft 365 Copilot. That's where I live and I breathe. I don't really have much time to go into any of the other Copilots that exist across Microsoft ecosystems like GitHub Copilot. Don't get me wrong, GitHub Copilot is actually one of the areas that I want to try to learn a little bit more about and get into, but I need to understand a little bit more about, Copilot Studio and agents, which we're going to get to some things happening in that space too. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about Copilot Studio for low-code citizen development, governance of agents, things of that nature in my, we call it at Microsoft, a growth mindset. I'm always looking to learn, right? And especially these days, you have to be looking to learn and understand what's going on because everything is constantly changing. So, hey, Pradeep, what's up? Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. Are you going to be at any Microsoft conferences this year? So, great question. So, as a Microsoft employee, I don't normally go to Microsoft hosted conferences that are customer facing, like Build or Ignite, as example. Those tend to be the Microsoft 365 conference as well. Those tend to be the bigger conferences that are customer facing. Unless I am specifically presenting at one of those conferences or working that conference in some form of way, we are not normally going to those conferences. I've been to Ignite when I was a customer. In my legacy days, I've been at Microsoft now for 6 years, and I used to, work in the utility industry, gas, energy, electricity, things of that nature, in my local area for a local enterprise organization. And I got to go to Ignite. I got to go to a few different conferences. The SharePoint conference back in 2014 in Las Vegas. I was a SharePoint admin, right? I used to be a SharePoint administrator for over a decade prior to my days working with Copilot specific experiences. And sometimes I miss those days, right? I still like to focus on SharePoint. You'll notice on the channel we have a SharePoint Copilot video, and I'll be honest with all of you, making a video like that was honestly a lot of fun. Just because I got to go back a little bit, I got to get into my SharePoint hat and mindset and figure some things out. So it was a lot of fun being able to venture into and explore some of the newer Copilot experiences in SharePoint and OneDrive. We have a newer video on the OneDrive experience too. For those that may not know, OneDrive is SharePoint. It's just under a different guise or brand, so to say. But OneDrive is technically SharePoint. So on the back end. I will request you to work Ignite in November. It's intriguing to me. We do have some internal conferences I get to go to on occasion every few years, and the more that I venture out into the public, right? Like right now, I am live streaming to a very public audience, and it just makes me want to publicly present more and more, especially as I'm producing so much content. I love to talk about these types of experiences and the journey of where I came from to where I'm going and some of the ways that I approached those particular, areas, and how I've gotten to where I am today. So maybe I'll, have some type of presentation at Ignite or something in the future. I just got to figure out, what do I want to talk about, right? How do I want to advise either customers or internal peers of mine on how to work through that? I don't know. Something that I am interested in, but I've just not found out what I want to do as of yet. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to go to a conference in the future. And if I do, I will definitely let everybody know, right? I want to make sure that we let everybody know as we continue forward. So, this is very intriguing news. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'll put the link in the chat if anybody wants to take a look. Let me post in our live stream chat here. So I am going to be very focused on looking at what this is actually going to entail looking forward. Now, I will also say, general note, if this does come to fruition where additional large language models are used in Copilot, my expectation is these integrations won't be in Copilot for quite some time. All of you need to consider the fact that, when these new LLMs roll out, when it comes to the in-app experiences and those built-in skills like creating a presentation, adding a slide, uh, generating text in some Word would probably be pretty easy with drafting a document. It's really just text, right? But certain in-app built functionalities that are only in that app, my expectation is those particular functionalities are going to take a considerable amount of time before there's any additional integration for a different LLM. So, because our product groups have to, work through that, they have to work through security and privacy and governance based options. They need to ensure it works and functions correctly with the payloads that we're sending back and forth. There's a lot of, back end work that goes into this than just a normal chat experience, like with Copilot Chat, right? This particular chat experience. And that's one of the reasons why, like GPT-5, when it was rolled out, was actually pretty easy to integrate. The specific toggle switch that we have here at the very top, just toggle it on and then send that payload of data to GPT-5. Very simplistic approach. I still get tons of questions right now, comments in our YouTube videos, comments from my customers internally. Can we enable it by default? When is it not going to be a toggle experience? There is no update. There is no change to this. You have to toggle it on every time you chat with it. But I know it's gaining more and more traction. I will tell all of you, I actually had some hallucination occur today. Let me show this. This is why. This is why it's not the default experience. Not this one. Let's go down. I was doing some demos for another customer today. Can I find it? Let's see. Was it this one? I created some business proposals. Oh, I don't know where it went. Don't know where it went. This one, maybe? Ah, here we go. This one. Let's look at this really long conversation I had with this thing. Very intriguing, right? So, I was just showcasing to another customer, how to work with GPT-5. And so I gave it 2 steps, right? Follow this, research current knowledge on just an internal project of just a bunch of documents that I've created manually with Copilot myself, and then brainstorm 3 new business proposals, right? And I'm taking on the perspective of someone who doesn't create business proposals because I'm very transparent when I work with my customers. I'm an engineer. I don't create business proposals. I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how internal Microsoft does that. So I don't even know where to start and align with that internal process, right? Because it's going to be a pretty structured process if you're generating a business proposal. That's the type of role you play. So I just had to generate a few, right? So we have a few pieces of information here. I'm not worried about the initial material, right? It just gives me how to create business proposals, some project information. So here's the proposals that I created. So we have proposal A, Falcon Verify, right? It's a B2B SDK, API based system for authenticity and provenance. I don't even know what that means. I could chat with it to understand more of what it actually means by that. I could read into this a little bit more, but again, it's creating stuff based on that work data that Project Falcon is working on, right? So, long story short, I focused on this initial proposal, proposal A. So let's scroll down. Keep going, lots of stuff, right? So very natural, I enabled the voice dictation. So we do have the built-in microphone. You can start dictation. I started talking to it, right? So this is my word blab. So I really like Proposal A. I think Proposal A is a great starting point for me to leverage and then generate more business value for one of our companies. Okay. So what I need, I tell it very, very transparently. And this is something I recommend you try. When you're talking with these AI assistants, you need to tell it what you know and what you don't know. So being transparent, I'm like, well, I let's see. So what I need, I'm not really someone that works with business proposals and that's not often what I do and I want you to really expand on this proposal and provide me all the initial starting materials that someone that does this type of work may require. Okay? So I wanted to, dumb it down for me, so to say. And again, you always have to consider the fact that someone that does do this type of thing, they are going to have a structured process. So they're going to add more of what that structured process is or align like actual documents that include what their structured process is so that the AI can align to that. I don't have that. So I'm just having the AI verbatim spit some stuff out for me that may align to like a modern best practice for generating a business proposal. Okay. So here's what it created. It created a bunch of stuff, right? So you see, here's all the information, these 13 different items that it's going to generate for me. So it goes through, right? It goes through all these things, right? Bunches of stuff, even sub points. Look at this. Detailed proposal, item 3.1, problem and opportunity, 3.2, solution overview, 3.3. Again, I could focus on each one of those and I could expand on each one of those if I want to. If I don't know what it means, hey, focus on section 3.2, solution overview. Expand a little bit more of what it means by the SDK specific information. Tell me more about that data in detail. This is why this is the best learning tool that any of you will ever. This is why I love AI so much, because I don't have to be an expert in something. And it can help me become more of an expert in that area, get to more that intermediate knowledge faster that I require based on my human curiosity, right? We're all inherently curious. We want to ask questions. We want to understand more. And this is so powerful, especially when it comes to the work experience and you're expanding what you do. Anyways, long story short, I reviewed through all of this and I saw, let's see here, scroll down, lots of stuff here. Look at this last section. Okay. Would you like these as files? I can generate a proposal deck, statement of work, an API one pager, and a cover email. Now, I know it can create PowerPoints. I know it can create Word documents. I know it can create, I don't know if it can create email files, like a template file. You see a .msg or a .eml specific message. Okay. And then I thought this was really, look at this optional next step. I can also hold 15 minutes in your Friday project sync to pre-review the pack before sending to Fabricate. What? What does it mean by that? Hold 15 minutes. Is it going to put like a calendar hold on my calendar? I saw this live with my customer interaction and I found this to be so intriguing. I'm like, huh, I wonder if it can do that. And this is why, for all of you to understand, it's so important that you experiment with these things because it might not do it. my expectation initially is it's not going to. This is a hallucination. It's saying it can, but it can't. But maybe it can. So why not see if it can, right? Is why you should experiment. So what I did was, where'd it go? Oh, my message isn't here anymore. Where's my message? Oh, well, okay. Well, my message isn't there anymore. I don't know what happened. It deleted one of my messages. So I copied this section. This section out. Let's do it. Let's try it. Let's copy this whole section. I'll continue the conversation. Focus on this message from your previous response. And I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to say, perform these actions and generate this material. Let's just see what happens. Right. While it does that, let's look at the chat messages here. Okay. See, look at read. I'll let y'all read the response. I know it's not going to. So I took a lot of, Pradeep here says, I took a lot of snippets from your recent videos and showed at a webinar for my firm's audience. They were impressed. So want to learn more about Microsoft 365 Copilot. Kudos to you, Pradeep. Dude, the man, please reuse the content, educate anybody that could make value out of my content. The purpose of my content truly is to just help people understand how to use the thing in their work, right? Our channel specifically focuses more on the enterprise edition of Microsoft 365 Copilot. General note for everyone, like if you don't have the enterprise edition, there are still like learnings that you can take from my content that could still apply to like Microsoft Copilot, which is the personal side Copilot, right? It's the Copilot experience that anybody can use for free, aligned to your Outlook.com account or a Microsoft specific account. So, which by the way, I use it. I don't subscribe to Copilot Pro. I'll be transparent. I don't do that right now. I don't really have much of a need because outside the bounds of my work, I actually use my work Copilot for a lot of personal stuff. I don't know if I should or not, but I do, right? So just some things to consider. I still use Copilot Pro for certain other work aspects, but a lot of it I just need for free. I'm not creating a lot of documents in my personal, so to say. Patrick here as well. Hi, appreciate what you do. Business user here for the Q&A. My question is, why can't Microsoft 365 Copilot agents create downloadable Word documents? Will there be a fix for this? Patrick, they can. They can. Hold on. So I'm gonna duplicate this. We'll come back to this conversation. So it depends on the agent first and foremost, right? If you're using an out-of-the-box agent versus an agent that you create yourself. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna focus on. Let's focus on a custom agent. I do believe I can do this with certain other ones. I'll have to check and see, but a custom agent, I know for sure that you can. Let's go to. I should have something like presentation analyzer. Let's just open. Oh, a content insights agent. There we go. I'm going to click on edit to edit this agent. And if we go to the configure tab, Patrick, and everybody else, of course, there is a particular functionality. I need to switch my webcam. 1 second. There we go. There's a particular piece of functionality that you need to enable. Scroll down. These capabilities right here, right? So what we are specifically focused on when it comes to file generation via an agent is code interpreter. Code interpreter, it's not just about generating Python code to analyze data or perform math or create images for data visualizations. It can also generate files. So let's try this out. Let's see. I'm going to enable code interpreter. Click update. Second. Hopefully this actually saves because these demo environments have given me so many issues over the last few weeks. I'm getting really annoyed. Go back to Content Insights Agent, and I'll say review the content found in / Business Strategy Report 2025. I think maybe it has some data in it. Let me just check. Okay, I have some data in it. So just let it run through, right? And I'll say summarize this data down into 5 key points. So I just have some initial things to go off. Now I'll say provide a 1-page summary Word document, or you could do PDF based on the last output. me turn off my audio over here for my workstation. You hear the Teams pings in the background. I get Teams messages every waking second of every day. And look, oh, it worked. It worked. Look at that. So now we could download this, right? So we have our download right there. And just to check and confirm if I open this up, let me see. 1 second here, everyone. I want to make sure that I'm sharing the correct screens before I switch. Oh, you should be able to see it. Yeah, there's a Word document. Good. That's the Word document that I created, right? So, something to consider. Actually, I need to switch this really quickly there. There we go. Still trying to figure out all the different transitions and layouts in OBS Studio. I use OBS Studio for the streaming software here. I used to stream on Twitch, so I'm fairly used to it, but I haven't streamed on Twitch in many, many years. Haven't played any video games there. But maybe one day as we have time, my kids are getting a little bit older, maybe we'll get back into it. We'll do some gaming streams in the evening times. I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay, so Patrick, hopefully this helps out a little bit, right? Is it the same for Copilot Studio? I do believe in Copilot Studio you should have the ability, Patrick, to also enable Code Interpreter in Copilot Studio. Technically, these agents that we're creating here, these declarative agents, they use Copilot Studio on the back end. It's just these are the simpler agents that you can create that don't include all the bells and whistles like agent flows and autonomous triggers and additional actions that you can run. That's not available in these like business user-based agents. So yeah, Patrick, happy to help. I do believe you should be able to do this with some of the built-in agents, like from Microsoft. Maybe Researcher, but here's the word of caution for you is you can't directly control those particular agents out of the box. So like if I go to Prompt Coach, that's from Microsoft. This is available for prompt assistance. If Microsoft hasn't enabled Code Interpreter in Prompt Coach, you can't generate files, right? But here's an alternative, right? If you want, you can actually create Prompt Coach custom. So general note for everyone, if you click on create an agent here on the left-hand side, you see how you can start from a template? I can go to view all templates and look what's there, like Prompt Coach, all the other ones, Idea Coach, Learning Coach. There's even more that isn't technically available in the main experience. I can click on Prompt Coach and you start from that template. If you go to the Configure tab, look at these instructions. These are the out-of-the-box Prompt Coach instructions. You can modify these instructions. This is what Prompt Coach does. So you can see everything that it aligns to. You could use this as a starting point and create your own custom Prompt Coach for your organization. This is the one we create aligned to Microsoft best practices for prompting. But then, of course, I could enable Code Interpreter in my own custom Prompt Coach and then share that out with my colleague. So again, there's many different ways that you can go about this. Just some word of caution there. The out-of-the-box agents might not have that capability if they're from Microsoft, but maybe some alternatives. You can't create, to my awareness, researcher and analyst from a template. Maybe in the future, I'm not sure there, but some things to consider. Melanie is here too. Melanie, welcome. I see a message here. I configured a declarative agent using the builder and Copilot in chat, and it worked great. Then my boss asked me to configure it using Copilot Studio using the same instructions, and it behaved a lot worse. Interesting. I can't quite say why that might be. One thing to maybe check is in Copilot Studio. Let's open up Copilot Studio. And again, I'm still learning more about Copilot Studio in my own working scenarios. I don't focus on it as much. But in Copilot Studio, when you're generating your agents, I know you can either use classic answers or generative answers. So for example, do I have an agent in here? Let me see. Oh, I don't have an agent in here. Let's just create a new one, right? Just create a new one. And let's create like what do I want? What do I want to do? I want to create an agent that provides me the latest Microsoft 365 Copilot updates from credible Microsoft sources like techcommunity.microsoft.com and learn.microsoft.com. I didn't spell some things correctly there. That's okay. Don't worry about that. We'll just let it roll through. All right, let it create some instructions here. Really where I want to go is the configure tab to see what's going on. Let's see here. And I see Zach's message in there. We'll get to that in a second. 1 second here. I just want to look at what's all possible. Yeah, see, it doesn't look like within the Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot specific agents, we have that ability to pick and choose. I wasn't sure if they had updated. It's been a little bit since I've been in here, right? So let me go back. How do I go back? Let's cancel agent. I do have my other presentation analyzer. Can you go back, please? Agent. Oh, leave. I need to click the right button, right? Presentation analyzer. And we'll go to settings, I believe it's under. Let's see, things like generative answers, right? So the orchestration overall is what I'm focused on, and Zach, that aligns to your messaging as well, right? We talk about orchestration, how exactly the AI picks and chooses where it gets the data, how it aligns the data for you, provides its direct response, things of that nature. There's an orchestrator. This is actually, this is a great question when it comes to the last video that I just posted on the channel yesterday. How Microsoft 365 Copilot works, right? You think it just sends data over to the large language model and process all kinds of stuff, but there's a lot of orchestration that happens behind the scenes. And that orchestrator is what picks and chooses how Copilot obtains the information from your work, from the web, from its inherent knowledge. So there is orchestration when it comes to agents that you create via Copilot Studio as well. Aligned to Zach, what you just mentioned, sounds like some things are being worked on. I can't say for sure. I don't know. I'm not as knowledgeable in that area. If you guys ask me questions and I don't know, I don't know. I'm just going to tell you. But don't get me wrong, this is an area that I'm trying to learn more about as well. Have we included GPT-5 yet? No, we don't have GPT-5, but it looks like we have 4.1 here for the model that you can select. We should have GPT-5 here somewhat soon. We said that the coming weeks when we rolled it out messaging-wise, so hopefully in the future, but some things to consider. So Melanie, hopefully that helps out a little bit, right? In relation to your overall experience, some things to consider when it comes to working with agents. I would just recommend for right now, if the particular agent that you built works in the way that you intend, and you have all the functionality you need with that agent, why would we duplicate it in Copilot Studio? If there's a specific business reason, that'd be great. But technically, the agent builder here in this chat experience, this is Copilot Studio, right? That's why if you go to like an agent details, I'll go to edit an agent. Look, Copilot Studio at the very top, right? It's just a lighter version of Copilot Studio. So some things to consider there. I will say in this realm of material, I actually have some additional updates. For any of those that might be more admin focused, or just those that might want to know what's being included in your licensing. So we just got brand new information today, right? I'm going to put a resource in the chat for all of you if you're interested in understanding what's going on with Copilot Studio. Did I close it out? I might have closed it out. Okay. I'll find the license. I know where to go. Copilot Studio licensing. I'm gonna put this in the chat. So last update here was June-ish, July of this year, somewhere around there. We're going to be updating this around the beginning of October. There's new updates that are happening to include more functionality for Copilot Studio in your Copilot license. So for those that may be doing more agent-based development and such, this is going to be really useful. Let me really quickly. This is not yet fully available in a linked resource that I can provide, but it is public knowledge that we're sharing with our customers. So really quickly here, let me pull this up. As of September 1st, we're rolling out specific enhancements to Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot, by expanding what types of agent and agent features we directly include as a part of the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. So as of around now, and as of these licensing enhancements rolling out, all Copilot Studio capabilities are included in the Copilot license. That includes agent flows, AI tools, and deep reasoning. General note for everyone, prior to this particular update, this was more consumption-based functionality. And what I mean by consumption-based functionality was if I, for example, invoked deep reasoning, or if I, for example, had the agent run an AI agent workflow, there would be a cost associated to that, right? So many pennies per run would be, how should I say, charged to your organization via the pay-as-you-go system that we had, or via message packs that your organization could purchase. Now those functionalities are all part of the Copilot license. So there is no consumption cost, which is fantastic. There is still some consumption cost, just a general note. For example, let me see here. There was one, I think it's with autonomous actions, the triggers. I don't see the note for some reason, but I know it was interesting. Just reading really fast. Give me a moment. Yeah, there's still certain features that will have consumption. Like I do believe autonomous agents will still have a consumption cost associated to them for when the trigger runs. Maybe some other slight, other additional functionalities as you get more custom and in depth with your agent as well. But the overall cost mechanisms are going to be much lower than they were before because a lot more is being included in the license. It does also look like we are rebranding the agent builder in uh, Copilot Chat here that I'm showing specifically on the screen. That's going to be called Copilot Studio Lite, Lite, right? Yeah, Copilot Studio Lite, Lite. It's the embedded Copilot experience, formerly called Agent Builder. So now it's Copilot Studio Lite. So rebrand a little bit there within that experience. I think that's pretty cool. Um, another update happening, not Copilot Studio specific, but for some people may be aware, we have additional Copilot capabilities for things like Copilot. Let's see, Copilot for finance. So, Copilot for finance, right? It's a particular functional workload and Copilot experience license that you can add on top of the base Microsoft 365 Copilot license to get additional functionalities and data integrations. This is Copilot for sales, Copilot as a service, and Copilot for finance. Yeah, those key three. I do believe they were like $20 additional as if on top of the $30 a month for a Copilot license. Uh, all of these now being included in the Copilot license. So you're going to have access to Copilot for sales, Copilot for service, Copilot for finance, and the main $30 Copilot license as well. This should be sometime around mid-October that these particular updates roll out. So some other things to consider. So lots of updates happening licensing wise, more functionality coming out for our business users. I know maybe some of you not as worried about like things like cost and things of that nature. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not really focused on cost either, unless you're like one of those admins or IT business decision makers. But from an end user standpoint, additional functionalities that you'll be able to take advantage of that aren't paywalled anymore. And that's cool. That's valuable. Like I could be a business user that starts off working in, Copilot, building an agent with now Agent Lite, Copilot Studio Lite. I'm like, I'm interested in adding more into my agent. What can I do? And I start researching more into Copilot Studio. Now I can do all kinds of more stuff in Copilot Studio, right? So lots of really cool things, innovations, and paywall blockers now being removed from that and just being included in the $30 license. That's awesome. That's really cool for our customers. So some things to consider there. Mark here, I do think the users will still need the full application licenses to access the data in the new agents. I think it is just going to be a lot easier to access. Yeah, there are still going to be additional costs, and always note this for everyone, right? We are going to continue to roll out new innovations. Some of those new innovations might have a cost associated to them. I was honestly, researcher and analyst. This was the first iteration of deep reasoning that we built into Copilot experiences. I was so surprised that we didn't have an additional cost with this. This was just made available for free. I was so perplexed. I really thought that our product groups were going to say, like, you want access to the researcher agent, it's an additional, like, $5 a month. I literally at the time, I would have paid $5 a month or $10 a month, whatever it might have been, because researcher was creating so much more value for me in my work. But it just gave it to people for free. Like, oh, that's great, right? The fact that now we have these free capabilities being introduced. So who knows? There might be additional costs in the future on, like, hey, maybe GPT-6 comes out. I'm surprised GPT-5 didn't have a cost. But, I will say I like GPT-5, but I don't see that big of a difference in GPT-5 as compared to, like, GPT-4o to justify cost. Researcher I did, but GPT-5, not so much. So some things to consider. Lots of updates, lots of changes, things of that nature to watch out for. So some good stuff there. Again, if anybody has any questions on any of that information, please feel free to let me know. Some good stuff rolling out there. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's see. If anybody, again, new coming in, hasn't checked out, we have some new updates on the latest updates rolling out as of August 2025. A different video specifically on the channel to check out. General note for everyone, a lot of those updates aren't yet out. I have been reviewing our particular message center. All right, so really this is where we start to see those actual updates rolling out within the user experience. There's some actually pretty good updates that aren't noted in my update video that are within here as well. I might have a future video on these after they're rolled out so I can showcase them a little bit. But things like document statistics, right? No screenshot on this one, but we talked about in Microsoft Word in previous videos, there's now the document snapshot that you receive. That was initially the summary that you're provided at the very top of your file experience. Now we're adding those additional tabs. So another new tab is rolling out for document statistics based on things like usage and such rolling out. It looks like author, last modified date, number of times it's been opened in the activity tab. So some things to consider. More coming out within that summarization capability. Looks like this is right now rolling out mid-September, so somewhat soon. It doesn't have a targeted release mode, so I wouldn't have access to this as of yet, but something to watch out for. I think that would be valuable because I have had some questions like, how can I see usage based in the file, right? From like more leaders or project managers. That might be useful. So, Jay Dawn here says you have to prompt different in GPT-5. Once you figure that out, it's great. Yep. Yeah, that is correct. I'll be honest, I haven't changed too much for GPT-5 based on my like just normal working scenarios. I try to say certain key terms more because I like when it invokes the reasoning capability more. So I tell it to research very explicitly to get it to invoke that research-based capability. But again, I think there's still work that needs to be done because what we were talking about earlier, I sort of got a little off track there. But what we were talking about earlier with, well, it looks like I closed the conversation. Let's see if I can open it back up. The hallucination, right? Let's see here, this one. This kind of stuff. Like it says it can do this kind of stuff, but it can create some files, but it can't do like placeholders on my calendar and stuff. So there's still some, kinks to iron out with GPT-5, but it's very useful, right? Majority of the occasions that I've worked with it. Creating prompts with it is fantastic. I can create some prompts that are highly engineered, right? All kinds of markdown code and things like that that's included and such as well. Lots of good stuff in there. Some good prompt engineering techniques that it uses. Okay. Let's go back over here. So just one update there I think will be useful. I thought this was intriguing. There was, for those that may not know, there's a quota on certain transcription capabilities built into Office applications. This isn't related to Teams, to my awareness right now. This was related to transcription capabilities in areas like Word and OneNote. And so there was an amount that you could transcribe from voice to text in those application experiences. It was 300 minutes a month you were limited to. Because of Copilot and Gen AI now being introduced, more people are using more voice dictation. 30,000 minutes per month per user. Like, that's huge. That's a lot. I also think this might be due to we're now introducing things like audio overviews. Let's see here. 1 second. Audio overviews. And then, of course, audio overviews. You can send those audio overviews to your OneDrive. You can save those files. I think this does somewhat correlate. So some things to consider there. So some additional limitation increases if you ever hit those limits. I don't see many people do. Researcher is going to get some updates too. So things like output controls. I thought this was intriguing. So you could actually choose the length of your report, 1 to 5 pages, 5+ pages. So I think this is, again, for those that are more technical in nature, not as big of a deal. But for business users that don't know how to prompt very well, or just want to get from point A to point B, this is great. More of these just click pick options to add in is one option there. And you'll also notice there's a little sources button down here at the very bottom. That's another one too. Is this open in Word as well? So you can just directly open in Word instead of sending to a Copilot page and then opening Word. So less button clicks. Here's the source control. So you could actually, in that researcher experience, pick the particular sources with just toggle switches. So if you want a certain content source, you could tell researchers these are the content sources that way. So I'm honestly a little intrigued by this one. I don't know why it's just researcher. Like, we now have reasoning capabilities with GPT-5 built into Copilot. And I question this just a bit because it's like, if I'm talking in work chat, whether it's with GPT-4o or GPT-5, why can't I just pick the sources there too? I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, cool, researcher, that's fine. I think it's great, but this should be extended to other apps. Because again, I look at it from a perspective of majority of people, business users. For a technical audience, like, I don't care. I know I can just prompt and I can just say, source your data from my email and my Teams meetings and my chat messages. But like from a business end user standpoint, like they don't know how to do that kind of stuff. Source your data from my work, right? So I'll clap back a little bit when it comes to these type of updates. I think this should be expanded to the additional work chat capabilities. So let me know your thoughts, right? What you think. Maybe you have a different perspective than I do, but some of this stuff, I'm not very happy with that. It needs to be expanded. Oh, wait, is this it? This might be it. Looks like I might have. I don't know what this one is. There's no screenshot, right? It says, "Oh, selecting specific content source." Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. I just don't see it. I don't know. Maybe it is. So something to consider there. Jade on here. What connectors are available? So the sources one. The connectors specifically are the out-of-the-box data sources. So you see work and web toggles, but then also chats, meetings, emails. This is SharePoint right here. So it's just, you know what? Let me see. Do I have it? Can I check? I'm looking at my work experience. I don't have it yet. It's not available to me as of yet. So I don't know if this would also include like third-party sources. If you had like data connectors to a third-party data source, I think that would be pretty cool. If we had like connector switches for, hey, ServiceNow, Jira, whatever systems that you are connecting into that you want to specifically focus on and pick, that would be pretty nice. But I don't know for sure. We'll have to look into that. Let's see if it says anything. Let's go back to this one. It doesn't list out any particular data sources. Yeah, it doesn't. Ah, look, oh, right there, right there, right there. Connector support will follow in a later phase. Here, let me switch my camera. Connector support will follow in. So it looks like initial sources would be the out of the box default sources, and then connector sources would be available later on down the. So hopefully, Jadon, that helps out with your question. Right. Some things to consider there. I thought this was interesting. I'm not happy with this one because I think I know what this correlates to. So this is not yet available, but something that's going to be in the Workflows app in Microsoft Teams. Let me switch the camera. There we go. So if anybody recalls, for a brief period of time, we rolled out Copilot Actions. It was a navigation item here on the left side of the navigation prior to the new UI change, where you would click on Copilot Actions and there would be a template of different things that you could just pick specific data sources or people entries or prompts that were generated, and then you just have them auto run, right? And that was removed after like 2 months. I don't even think it got fully to general availability. And now, go back. Now, it looks like we're adding that capability in the workflow app in Teams. I don't get why. Why the workflow app in Teams? I never really understood why they got rid of Copilot Actions. I mean, they were a little bit rigid, but I think what they needed to do, honestly, what the product group needs to do, in my opinion, right? They need to merge all the automated prompt scheduling capabilities. They need them all in one area, right? The fact that I can schedule a prompt in main Copilot chat and then it's centralized in Copilot chat. Now I can schedule certain prompt aspects with what looks like Copilot actions because look what it says. Help me prepare for my day. Day is a purple text, so I'm assuming it could be for my week, for my month. Like those are interchangeable fields that you can select, right? That's my assumption right now. Well, why? Why is this not centralized with scheduled prompts? Like those automation capabilities where you want some form of prompt to run. Why do we need templates like this? Why can't I just create my own and then have it send to where I require? That's something that I know a lot of people have been asking about scheduled prompts, right? When it comes to scheduled prompts, the fact that I can have a prompt that I schedule. Can I edit this? I can't edit this. Let's go to a conversation. You all hear me complain about stuff like this because it can be annoying sometimes. I need a regular conversation. These are with agents. There we go. Send me the result in Copilot chat. Why can't I change this? Why can't I have a Word document? Like Copilot Actions had this. A Word document, a Teams message, Copilot chat. What are we doing? I don't get this. So again, you all will notice I'm biased in many ways. I'm also a little jaded when it comes to working with these experiences because I hear what my enterprise customers are saying. And certain updates I will very highly scrutinize. Because like something like this, maybe it's valuable, but this looks like Copilot actions in the workflow app in Teams. Why did we ever remove it? I don't know. So I'll get off my soapbox there. Just a little complaining. You'll know it. Library experience is something else that's coming out somewhat soon. So it looks like it's going to be some additional section that's in the navigation on the left where you can actually like pick from your specific content that you create with Copilot, which I think that will be cool because I lose track of all kinds of content I'm generating. I'm generating Word documents, images, like everything's everywhere. OneDrive, SharePoint, in specific stores like the Create area. I want a centralized location that I can go to that includes all of my AI generated content. So it looks like this new library section will be that. Right now, for both targeted release and GA, it's late September to late September. I'm going to be honest with all of you. I don't think that this is going to be available for probably another 2 or 3 months. So you'll see this when you see things like this. Is like, it's probably not going to be here for a bit. I could be wrong. But I don't think that'll be here for a while. But something very intriguing to help you keep track of your AI generated content. So good stuff there. Let's see here. I want to see a little bit more if there's anything additional. There's one or two other updates, but I think that's most everything. Yeah. Some updated timelines. I talked about the facts web part as general note for everyone. That was in one of my previous SharePoint videos. If you don't see this facts web part still within Copilot and SharePoint when you're editing a SharePoint page, just as general note, we've updated the rollout timelines for this. So it looks like if you're in the public preview, October, mid-October, and then target release early November, and then GA release late November. So it could be for some of you, it doesn't release until all the way into late November. So just some word of caution there for you, depending on your organization policy, things of that nature. Okay. So, yeah, I think that should be good. Also, yeah, I see like any of these updated ones. These are all like the timelines have been updated. I've been waiting for some of these to roll out. Like when's Copilot? Late October for researcher built into Copilot notebooks. Oh, general note, Copilot notebooks were updated limitation-wise, 100 items per notebook. I've also had questions on my YouTube video about will Copilot notebooks be able to support YouTube videos? I do believe so. I haven't seen a direct roadmap item on it as of yet. I would love that. I'd love to add YouTube content for learning materials into a Copilot notebook and talk to it about that data. But one of our screenshots we had in our blog had a YouTube video in a Copilot notebook. That was most likely taken by one of our PG team members. So it looks like there is some work happening on YouTube videos, but nothing's like fully confirmed as of yet. So we'll wait and see. I get a lot of questions on because Google has Notebook LM, and a lot of people want to include YouTube videos into their notebook experience. Not currently available in Copilot notebooks, but maybe soon. We'll see. Maybe soon. So good stuff there. Now, I know we're winding down our final hour here. I want to show one final thing just for fun. I played around with this the other day. So again, I love using the create module. And I like to use the create module for like funny conversations. So I was complaining to my team today. And I was like, I get a little bit annoyed by the Copilot brand sometimes because we call everything Copilot. And what does it mean when you have like Copilot chat? Like, is it licensed? Is it unlicensed? It confuses so many people, right? And one of my coworkers loves Clippy. I think everybody actually in this day and age loves Clippy. It's just there to help. It's just we think Clippy at this point should be the new Copilot mascot. So here's what I did. I tried this out. I went into the create module. I found an image of Clippy, and I got an image of the Copilot icon. So I went in here and add an image, and I thought that you could only add one image to reference, but you can add more. So look, I can add two images in the create module. There's Clippy, and there's the Copilot icon. And I can say, update the image of Clippy based on the attached image and utilize the color palette from the Copilot icon to create a new Clippy for Copilot. See if that works. But I didn't know you could reference two images. See, I learn new things every day too, even though I work with these experiences all day long. So you can prompt and reference multiple images in the create module and combine those aspects together. Now, in a live demo, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I did this earlier today, and it created an image of Clippy with that color palette of Copilot. And I'm like, hey, here's our new mascot. I was like, this is great, actually. I think this is pretty cool. It looks like it actually might work. He's blue, right? So we got an image of Clippy here that we're generating with AI by incorporating multiple images together and calling that out. Not bad, right? Well, of course, it's still not done yet. So maybe he's all blue. We'll see. But some good stuff. So I thought I'd just share that with everybody. Some good stuff there. It looks like the color palette a little bit. I like the image that I created earlier because it used the gradient color all the way around. It looked a lot better, but this one's not terrible. Right? Hey, look, he looks all nice. He's ready to help all y'all out. Waiting, there it goes. Come on, all the way through. Still getting that last little bit piece here. He's really blue. Anyways, try it out. Use the create module. General note for the create module again. Yeah, there's no red, so maybe just some updates. But for the create module, we still use GPT-4o as the image generator. If you're creating certain aspects like banners and stories and things like that, I do believe some of that still leverages the legacy models like DALL-E 3, because you'll notice it creates like 4 banners at a time, or multiple stories or infographics at a time. So usually if it takes longer and the image is more like a higher quality, that's GPT Pro. So I always say quality over quantity any day of the week. Okay. So some good stuff. Besides that, I don't believe I have anything additional to go through. I do want to make sure again, do you have any questions? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to give it a few more minutes here. I know we're a little bit past the hour mark. I usually end right around now, but I do want to ensure that any questions or use cases or experiences that any of you have are addressed to. Please let me know in the chat. And just some final notes as we maybe give that a few minutes. If you like the content, click on the little thumbs up, right? Always helps me. I really appreciate it as a smaller creator trying to figure out how to get my content out to people and just help, right? Just help them understand how to use AI. Same thing, there's a new hype feature. I don't know if you guys have like a hype button for videos. I checked it on my mobile device the other day. You can like hype videos now up to 3 times a week, and that creates more visibility for those videos in like a grouped category to just help out smaller creators. I think it's like people with under 500,000 subscribers. So we're definitely below 500,000 subscribers. We just hit the 5,000 subscriber mark. I started this channel in April. Wow. It's crazy seeing that we are at almost 5,200 subscribers here. I cannot thank all of you enough. The engagement, the support, your comments, your likes, the shares. You know, I hear internally and from my customers all the time the impact that the content that I'm posting is creating. And it gives me that feel good fuzzy feeling, you know? It makes me feel good because at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to make sure that I can help educate everybody to get value out of AI. Right? So I love this. This is, if I could do YouTube full time and live stream like this full time, just teaching people how to use this stuff, man, that would be a dream job, right? So we'll see. Who knows as we continue forward what happens. But thank you all for the support. Always appreciated. Let's look at the chat really quickly. Rick here. Rick, what's up? Glad to have you here. Do you know of any improvements coming to managing notebooks and conversations, like searching folders, etc.? I've not heard anything, Rick, unfortunately. I know I just had some questions the other day about like grouping chats together across all kinds of different channels, like Copilot chat areas, like your chat history and such. Like a Copilot notebook can group specific chats together based on that notebook data. But besides that, I really haven't heard of any expansion of options there. I know we're adding like researcher into notebooks, as well as the other option we'll be adding in the not so distant future. When you're in a notebook, you'll have some buttons that you can click. So like create a facts page, create a briefing, things like that. Those will be capabilities, more button click actions. But when it comes to like references and sources and things of that nature, I've not seen any specific noted updates as of yet. So I'll keep an eye. I'll watch out if there's anything that's good and more major in nature. I'll make some video content or provide that detail in the stream. So thanks for the question there, Rick. Very much appreciated. Radium here says, really enjoying your content. Good work. Radium, dude. Much love. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the support. Glad to have you here. Cyberfunk, as always, hey, man, appreciate all the comments and your engagement, too. I know you comment all the time, and you support the channel all the time, so very much appreciate you being here, as always. And I think that's where we're going to probably wrap up our live stream for the day. So Baron here, actually one last one. Let's see really quickly. Baron here, welcome Baron, by the way. Glad to have you in the chat. I struggle to find good use cases for pages, but the boost feature is fun. Interesting. I don't know what the boost feature is. I'll have to look into that. And if you talk about Baron for pages, right? Are you referring to like this page feature right here? Or are you referring to Copilot pages overall? Right? Maybe something I need to research a little bit. If it comes to Copilot pages, I can talk to Copilot pages a decent amount if you want me to. But I don't know what the boost feature is. I'll have to check that out. At least I haven't seen it in the Enterprise Edition. Maybe that's personal side Copilot. I think you can work with pages and Microsoft Copilot on the personal side. So, but Baron, I'll look into it. I'll see what I can find out for you. Open page, click the boxes on. Yeah. So Copilot pages, right? It's just a way to create knowledge. Baron, I'll give you an example. Before I leave for the day, right? Before I leave for the day, when it comes to Copilot pages, I like to use Copilot for education. I like to learn about a topic. Create a knowledge guide on Copilot Studio. And usually, when I do knowledge, I'm usually using Researcher, by the way, but for the sake of time, we'll just send it to a normal Copilot specific conversation, right? But usually it'd be Researcher. I want that rich, detailed knowledge guide information, lots of sources and data that I can go to and aggregate. So I like to use Copilot at pages for existing knowledge sets, because what I can do is I can take this knowledge, all this existing data, and I can always reference it later on, right? So for example, we'll send this to a Copilot page. Click on Edit Pages, right? So now we have this dynamic page. Imagine also this could be a working scenario. I'm working with some colleagues. Actually, I'll give you a great example. I just used this the other day. I'm doing what we call account transitions. I'm transitioning certain customers from myself as the lead cloud solution architect on that customer to others. And I'm using Researcher and GPT-5 to create pages of data that I can send off to my colleagues to say, here's all the work that I did with this customer. Here's the dates, here's the times, here's the meetings, here's the key contacts. All of that data I'm aggregating with Copilot, sending to a Copilot page, and then I'm just sharing that Copilot page with my colleagues so they can directly go in and they can review it and obtain that data very quickly and easily. Saves me some time, saves them some time. When it comes to things like this, like maybe later on down the road, there's some knowledge for Copilot Studio I want to lean on, and I know it's in this page. I can reference these pages, right? I can use the /reference command here, just like a Word document, but again, more integrated with the chat experience. I can reference these. Let's see, like here's one, Fabricam business proposal. So I can include that same page data in. It's just more dynamic in nature. And technically, this is a loop page. So I could copy a loop component. You can't do it in here. You have to do it in the Loop app. But I can copy a loop component and I can add that into an email. I can add that into a Teams message, and people can dynamically update that information live in that application experience without going directly to the page as well. So there's some great functionalities built into Copilot pages to help create more dynamic collaboration, knowledge sharing, so on and so forth, or just general use of knowledge for future conversations you may have with the system. So good stuff there. So anyways, everyone, long story short, that's it for me for this evening. I very much appreciate all the time. Thank you all so much. I hope all of you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be tuning in from. And we'll probably have another live session here in the next 2 weeks. So thank you all so much. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, everybody.